In the last video, we talked about how a lot of your patterns were learned early through your environment, what you experienced, and what you had to adapt to. But what we didn't talk about is what those patterns created inside of you. And so, welcome back to the Becoming Her Voice series, a verse journal by Brittany Britt. And so, because it's not just behaviors, it's beliefs. You're not just people pleasing, you believe something about yourself that makes you feel like you have to. So if you don't do this particular said thing, then that means this or that about yourself, which will ultimately make us want to please everyone, make sure everyone is good, make sure everyone is calm, whatever that may look like. Because if not, then it's something wrong with you or you did something wrong. That is a belief that has been created over time, which makes you continue to do the same pattern over and over. For others, that may be overthinking, right? Where you believe that something makes you feel like you can't trust yourself. And whatever that thing is that makes you feel like you can't trust yourself, you begin to overthink, you begin to question everything, you begin to be very indecisive and what if this, what about this, and what if that? And we think that we're just kind of trying to make the best aligned right decision, which could possibly be true. But is it really just because you're overthinking because you no longer trust yourself? And so most of these beliefs were formed at a time where we didn't even have the awareness to question them. And so, because of that, it became true for us. If we're picking things up through observation as a 2 and 3 year old, because we see everyone around us doing this thing or saying the same thing, why would we believe that there's any other way to function than as that? We don't have nothing else to compare it to. Once we get older, then and we are exposed to different environments, different people, different ways of thinking, then we have something to compare it to determine whether or not this is true, whether or not this works, whether or not this right, whether or not this wrong. It's all objective. But at the very beginning, at those early stages, we don't know. And so this is the way you're supposed to do it. So if you seen someone all your life, people pleasing, minimizing themselves, choosing everyone over them, why would we believe that there is any other way to function outside of that? That's a belief that we picked up over time. And as the years and the ages, and as we grew, we continued living with that belief, thinking this is how we must function. And so there are other things, beliefs that may have came true throughout your journey, your experiences. That could have been you have to earn love, that you have to do certain things, you have to show up a certain type of way, you have to give so much of yourself for someone to love you or to love you back or before they can reciprocate anything. You have to give before you can receive. For others, that may look like your voice doesn't matter, that no one wants to hear what you have to say, no one cares about your opinions, your thoughts. And that could have been something that happened to you at a younger age, and you just continue to go on with that. I know for me, that was my case. I felt like my voice didn't matter. Because when I did try to speak up, it was, oh, girl, you all right. Ain't nothing wrong with you. I was being told that as a little girl. And when there really was something wrong with me, whether I wanted to express something, whether I was physically in pain, but then being told wasn't nothing wrong with you, even though you know it is, it's kind of like, okay, well, yeah, maybe nothing is wrong with me. Maybe I am doing too much. Maybe I am being too dramatic. Maybe this is not a serious issue. So over time, that sticks with you. And so for some, you might start to believe it's safer to stay quiet. Instead of me getting yelled at, instead of me being told that it's all in my head, instead of me being ignored and just told that there is nothing wrong with me, I'm not going to say nothing at all. I'm going to stay to myself. That was another big thing for me. And then over time, you may start to believe now you don't speak up for yourself. Now you rather just stay quiet. Now you believe this is just who I am. Because for years after year after year after year, that's what you've done. And so when someone say, "Why are you so quiet, girl? What's going on with you? Or are you okay? Or hey, do you have, an opinion on this? Or what is your perspective?" And you rather stay quiet. One say, "Girl, why are you so quiet?" This is just who I am. And I love when people say this is who I am. Because me and my field and how I look at it with the gift that I have, now I really want to determine one, how did you become who you are? And then two, who are you really underneath that, beyond that? Because a lot of us think we are a particular way or we show up in a certain manner because it's just who we are. When in reality, you have become what you observed. You have become your beliefs. You have become what you've learned over time throughout the years. And if you didn't have anything to compare it to, who are you really? Because if I say, here's an option, you could be a people pleaser, you can please everybody, do everything for everybody, show up for everybody, forget about yourself, drain yourself, but as long as you're showing up for everybody and everybody else is happy because you're there, that's an option for you. Or if I can say, you can choose you, don't abandon yourself, stand up for yourself, stick up for yourself, speak up for yourself. You're first, you matter. Which one are you going to choose? Are you still going to choose to be the people pleaser that you saw everyone do from your grandma to your mom to your auntie, from generation to generation? Just please people, be drained. All they do is complain about it, mad about it, fight about it, fuss about it. Or are you going to choose yourself where you create your peace, your calmness, your joy? If I gave you both of those options, which one would you choose? Would you still choose to be the people pleaser or would you choose yourself? To make sure that doesn't mean that you don't care about other people. That doesn't mean that you're not going to support and love and all the things, but it means that it's not going to be at your detriment. That you're not going to minimize yourself in order to do so. And so if I knew as a young child that I had the option to speak up for myself, that if something was an issue or something was wrong with me, that I had the choice to express that, what I still would have muted myself and then just told everyone, well, this is just me. What type of child would I have been? What type of woman would I have been? So when someone says, oh, this is just me, I'm ready to break them down and say, let's really dig deep and see if this is still you. Because if I took the people pleasing and the, silencing yourself away, and if you're depressed about that and you're sad about that, okay, well, maybe that's something that you should keep. Because I believe in keeping things that serves you and benefit you letting everything else go that doesn't, right? And so I know I spoke a little bit about me and as a child, but for me I had to realize that a lot of the decisions I was making in my life weren't actually coming from me at all. They were coming from what I believe I needed to be, based off what I learned, what experiences, and what I thought was expected of me. I made some big life decisions based off what I thought was right, based off what I thought I needed to be doing. And at first, I didn't even question it because it felt normal. Just as I mentioned earlier, that young 2 or 3 year old is not going to question their environment, it's not going to question their surroundings, it's not going to question the big people in their lives. They're just going to see how they move, see how they function, see how they react, and they're going to do the same thing. And that's what's going to be true for them. So that's the part a lot of people miss. You're trying to change your life, but you're still operating from the same belief system that created it. And so, no matter how much you try to do different, you keep getting pulled back into the same patterns. So, we must change our belief system. We must begin to believe new things about ourselves, about other people, about our environments, whatever that may be. We must create a new belief system. We must begin to believe I am worthy. I do have something important to say. I don't have to put everyone else before me. Those are different beliefs. And once you start to believe that and receive that, then when certain situations come up, you then will act out in that manner. You will speak up for yourself when you're used to shrinking and not saying anything at all. You will tell people when something doesn't work well for you or that you don't have the time or the capacity to do whatever it is they're asking of you. Because you believe that you can put yourself first. You believe your voice matters. And so once you change your belief system, the pattern automatically changes with it. They go hand in hand. But if you don't work on that belief system, don't be surprised that nothing changed after that. Once you have the awareness, then it's up to you on what you decide to do. Because no matter how much you try to do different, you keep getting pulled back into the same patterns without a new belief system. And that's where that whole identity shift comes in at. Because as you started to have new beliefs, you started to have new patterns, and you start to see yourself transform into this new person. Right? And so a lot of us don't need more discipline. We don't need to try harder. We need to understand what we believe and where it came from. And I'm here to tell you right now, reflect on your childhood, reflect on your younger days, and just think about the things that you observed, that you heard, how you felt, and watch how it makes sense and align up to who you actually are right now. So instead of just trying to change the behavior, let's pay attention to the reactions. When something triggers us, when we feel the urge to go back into an old pattern, pause and ask yourself, what do I believe right now that's making me respond this way? What do I believe right now that is making me respond this way? Do I believe I have a voice? So I'm ready to shut down? What does that look like for you? Because until you change that belief, the behavior will always come back. This is exactly the type of work I go deeper into. Understanding your patterns, connecting them back to what you've learned, and actually doing the work to shift them from the inside out. If this is something you're ready to explore deeper, you can start with a journal, with one of my journals, or step into my Becoming Her Mentorship, where I help women dig deep. I help women extract. I help women figure out, why am I functioning the way I'm functioning? And what can I do to become the woman that I ultimately know that I was created to be? So I want you to remember, awareness is just the beginning. What you do with it is what changes everything. And as I like to tell my ladies, once you become aware, it's hard to go back to those same patterns, to continue that same belief system. It's hard. Because now all the responsibility falls back on you. The awareness is a signal. Once that signal pop up, once that signal shows, then it's up to you to decide. Am I going to go left or am I going to go right? You have to determine what you want your outcome and what you want your results to be. And only you can decide. Thank you for joining Her Becoming Her Voice series, a verse journal by Brittany Britt.